geometries. Unit 4 is on similarity. This is a very short unit. We're going to start off with just solving proportions. This is all page 1 is on. So just a ratio. The definition of a ratio is a comparison of two or more quantities. The word ratio is a comparison of two or more quantities. So the example 1, the ratio of two complementary angles is 3 to 7. Find the angles. Should be a period there. So the word complementary means angles that add up to 90 degrees. We've been talking a lot about supplementary is 180. Complementary is 90. So we need to set up a ratio. A ratio compares two numbers. We think about different ways we can write ratios. One way you could write it as like a fraction, 3 over 4. You could write it with a colon sign, 3, 2, 4, or you can write it with the words 3, 2, 4. All ratios we typically think of a lot of times as fractions, and you can reduce fractions to different amounts, like 5 over 10 is equal to 1/2. So basically, they're giving you the simplified version of a ratio that adds up to 90. It doesn't mean 3 plus 7 equals 90. It's a simplified version of something that adds up to 90. So to set up a problem like that, you would do 3x plus 7x equals 90. Because we don't know what they reduced by to get down to 3/7, but we know something was divided on both of them. Like on this, I divided both of these by 5 to reduce that down to 1/2. So working backwards, we could times both of these by something to figure that out. So 3x plus 7x is 10x equals 90. When you divide, x equals 9. So they've reduced both of these by 9. So let's find the angles. To find the angles, you would times both of them by 9. So 3 times 9 is 27 degrees. And 7 times 9 is 63 degrees. So if you had that like as a fraction, 27 over 63 would reduce to 3/7. So these are the two angles that reduced to come out to 3 to 7 as the ratio that add up to 90 degrees. Alright, the ratio of sides of a triangle is 2 to 2 to 3. ABC has a perimeter of 392. So remember, perimeter means you're going to add up all the sides. So that should imply add. So we're going to take 2x plus 2x plus 3x equals the perimeter of 392. And these are the reduced versions of something that adds up to 392. So to solve, you add those together. That's 4, so that would be 7x equals 392. Divided by 7. 392 divided by 7 equals 56. So 56 is what they were all divided by to get down to 2, 2, and 3. So to find the longest side, well, the longest side has to be the biggest number. So that would be 3. So 3 times 56 equals, it's paper, 168. So you could find all the sides, but guess what? The biggest number is going to be the longest side, so that's 168. So those are different types of ratios. Proportions are something I know we solve in middle school. A proportion is an equation that states two ratios are equal. I'm sure you've seen proportions like this before. in middle school, they typically do ones with just single letters or single numbers. You solve a proportion by cross multiplying. So I know, like in pre-algebra, you may have done one like this. Where you cross multiplied and got like 10x equals 15, and then you divide it. Somebody called it cross multiply and divide, one of my other classes. So the answer would be like 1.5. So that's cross multiplying. We're going to do it on a little bit grander scale. We're going to do a little bit more algebra to these instead of these very basic ones that I know we do in like 7th grade or 6th grade. So on these, anytime you see a problem that has a plus or a minus sign in it, I want you to go ahead and put that one in parentheses. The reason I do that is because when you multiply, cross multiply diagonally, you're going to take 19 times that whole thing of x minus 1. And you can write out 13 times 6, or you can figure out 13 times 6 equals 78. And if you like to save a step and want to do 19 times x and 19 times negative 1, you can distribute it while you write it down, or you can just write it out and then distribute it. Now we want to get the x by itself. Once you cross multiply, I will add 19 to the other side. 19x equals 97. So then I'll divide by 19. And we're going to round to the nearest tenth. It says round to the nearest tenth if necessary. So tenth would be one decimal place, so I'll say it's about 5.1. Because we're rounding on these. Okay, the next one, again, anytime you see a plus or a minus sign, we're going to put those in parentheses. So when we cross multiply, it doesn't matter which direction you multiply first. Let's say I take 6 times 3x plus 3 equals 7 times x plus 16. This one I have 2 distributing to do. But you would get 18x plus 18. And this side we get 7x plus 112. Solve with variables on both sides. You want to subtract your x's to one side. Let's say I move the 7x over here. That gives me 11x. And I would want to take my 18 to the other side. Kind of ran out of room. So you have 11x equals 94. And then divide by 11. We're going to get a decimal again. We're going to round it to about 8.5. Alright, the next one's a little bit different. And here's why. When you cross multiply on this one, again, put the parenthesis around the one that has a plus sign, you get x times x plus 2 equals 15. When you distribute an x times x is going to give you x squared plus 2x. Now you'll notice you have an x squared in the problem. When you have an x squared in the problem, we call this a quadratic. To solve a quadratic, we want to set it equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract the 15 to the other side, and then set up maybe my x method, if that's the way you prefer to do these. You'd have negative 15 up top, 2 on the bottom, so we're looking for factors of 15 that add up to 2. Do a positive 5 and negative 3. And then you'll want to group them. This is just reviewing how to solve factoring. take out what's called their GCF, and regroup these two answers together. And then we need to actually solve, so we have to go ahead and finish. If you have x minus 3 equals 0, then you would plus 3 to the other side and get 3. This one I'd have to subtract 5 to the other side and get negative 5. Alright, if you want to try the next one on your own, you can pause the video and try it, and then turn it back on to check. You notice on this one, it comes out to a quadratic again. I distribute it. I want to get everything on one side to set it equal to 0. When I did that, when I subtracted the 7x over, I made sure I put the x in the middle because you want it to be x squared, x, and then a number. So the top, remember, is your a times your c, so that would be negative 18 on top and negative 7 on bottom. Let's see, 9 times 2 gives me 18, so let's make it a negative 9 and positive 2 to come out to negative 7. Then you want to group the first two and the second two and take out what's called their GCF. These both can be divided by 3x. Like these can both be divided by 2, so we'll take out a positive 2. Now we group them together. We have 3x plus 2 and x minus 3. You have to do this last step to solve. You got to set them equal to 0. Subtract 2 over. And divide by 3. I got negative 2/3. If you want to follow the directions, say round to the nearest tenth. I guess that's 0.6 repeating, so you'd say negative 0.7. Or you can leave it a fraction. So that is cross multiplying. Anytime you see one with a plus or a minus, you're going to put it in parentheses. And these ratio ones up here, you just put x with whatever the ratios are and set it equal to what you need to set it equal to. Complementary is 90, supplementary is 180. Maybe another thing to remember is triangles, angles add up to 180. Perimeter, you know, is sides. So just keep those things in mind.